They weren't just watching. They were inside. Inside Iran's war rooms, inside its power lines. Now, as Israeli spies leave a trail of assassinations and sabotage, one neighbor is taking notes. From Tehran to Ankara. Has the era of invisible warfare begun? When Israel launched a surprise 12-day offensive against Iran in June 2025, the scale, precision, and ease of the operation stunned even seasoned observers. Iran's leadership was caught flat-footed, despite warnings from a handful of regional allies about suspicious Israeli movements in the preceding days. Middle East Eye quoting sources reported that while Tehran had increased its alert level, it was ultimately blindsided when Israeli strikes began. Behind the scenes, a sophisticated network of mossad agents, paid informants and operatives, many allegedly operating among Afghan migrant communities, had laid the groundwork.
There have been some Ali Cohens inside the Islamic Republic too.
The reference to Ali Cohen, Israel's notorious spy in Syria during the 1960s, underscores the depth of alleged Israeli penetration. A former security official described how Israel began infiltrating Iran's intelligence infrastructure nearly 2 decades ago, exploiting what he called ideological vulnerabilities. He pointed to the election of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in 2005 as a turning point. Seasoned operatives were reportedly pushed out, and a younger, ideologically driven cohort lacking field experience took over. The source said the aftermath of the 2009 Green Movement protests further compromised Iran's security environment. In a bid to root out dissent, loyalty to the supreme leader became a top criterion for advancement, even in intelligence agencies.
That environment likely allowed foreign assets to rise through the system unnoticed. The more ideological the system became, the more it prioritized cracking down on unveiled women and dissidents instead of foreign spies.
According to insiders, Israeli cyber intrusions into banks and government networks allowed the extraction of personal data, addresses, phone numbers, and schedules of high-ranking officials. That intelligence was reportedly used to plan targeted assassinations during the war. By the 4th day of the conflict, on the 17th of June, Iran suffered a devastating blow. Ali Shadmani, commander of the Qatam al-Anbiya headquarters, effectively the nation's war room, was killed.
My father was martyred in a direct confrontation with the Zionist regime. Many assume he died in a random airstrike, but he was assassinated in a targeted operation.
In a televised interview, Fayez Zahed, a member of Iran's government media council, cited multiple incidents suggesting deep Israeli infiltration. He alleged that Hossein Salami, head of the IRGC, warned of an imminent Israeli strike shortly before he was killed. Another IRGC commander, Mohammad Kazemi, was directed to a building later targeted by Israeli forces, raising suspicion of internal betrayal. In one particularly striking case, Zahed claimed that 9 generals of the Revolutionary Guard had gathered for a meeting. Israel, he suggested, waited until a 10th senior officer arrived before launching its attack. The fallout has been severe. The Ministry of Intelligence claims it thwarted 23 assassination plots and arrested 20 Mossad agents in the weeks that followed. Yet, public confidence remains shaken, especially after a wave of speculation surrounding Ali Shamkhani, a former top security advisor who was initially reported dead, only to reappear on television claiming he'd been trapped under rubble. Notably, 2 of Shamkhani's aides have been arrested in recent years for allegedly spying for Israel. Another vulnerability, officials admit, has been the influx of undocumented Afghan migrants. Many, desperate for work, were allegedly paid by Israeli operatives to assemble drone components, often unaware of the broader operation they were part of. The rapid escalation and devastating effectiveness of Israel's offensive against Iran has prompted regional powers to reassess their own defenses. none more so than Turkey. A new report from the Turkish National Intelligence Academy, titled 12-Day War and Lessons for Turkey, calls for sweeping reforms to Ankara's defense architecture. The report, released last week, outlines a comprehensive set of recommendations aimed at preparing Turkey for the evolving nature of modern warfare.
Throughout the war, the necessity of a multi-layered and comprehensive air defense system has also become clear.
Despite having invested heavily in its defense sector, including the production of drones like the TB2 Bayraktar and development of the 5th-generation Khan fighter jet, the report warns that significant vulnerabilities remain. Israel's ability to deploy more than 300 aircraft in coordinated missions involving F-35S, drones, special forces, and cyber tools has raised alarms in Ankara. Turkish officials are particularly concerned about the use of civilian apps such as WhatsApp in Israeli targeting operations.
Given that many global software and IT companies maintain special relationships with Israel, it is especially important to keep such technologies away from strategic institutions.
The report urges the creation of nationwide early warning systems, the construction of dual-use shelters, including fortified metro stations, and enhanced cybersecurity protocols to protect against espionage. It also calls for accelerating production of advanced weapons, including hypersonic missiles and low-altitude air defense systems, while urging vigilance around strategic sites like military command centers. Another concern is geopolitical. The report warns that as Israel leverages partnerships with allies for intelligence and logistics, Turkey must do the same. Recent moves to restore ties with the United States and NATO are described as strategically vital. With Iran's missile and UAV capabilities still a potential threat, the report cautions that Turkey must not rule out the possibility of becoming a target in future regional escalations.
Turkey feels at least as threatened by Iran's nuclear activities, extensive missile and UAV arsenals, and regional militia networks as Israel and the United States do.
In conclusion, the report underscores that military preparedness alone is no longer sufficient. A holistic security posture, encompassing politics, technology, intelligence, and international alliances, is now indispensable. Defense cannot be ensured by military means alone. Without comprehensive deterrence in political, economic, and technological spheres, it is impossible to deter the adversary or secure victory. As Iran and Israel continue to trade blows and test red lines, the wider region is bracing for further volatility. For Ankara, the war has become not just a distant conflict, but a clarion call.